Hey, beautiful, powerful people of the world. Did you enjoy yesterday? Yesterday was just crazy anointed, right? Yesterday with Mama Mary Haas. Wow, wow, wow. She was just all over. I am just super, super excited. Today, our very first male guest. Wow. Guys, I was just in his party. You know, he's such a businessman, but everything that he does is just a big party. Like it's just, I almost felt like he was a Filipino. He likes to just go and dance and all these things. Oh my gosh, it's so full of life. And look at what I'm wearing today. Just for Pedro to actually see that I honor him, I look smart. I'm wearing something smart. But anyway, guys, I don't want to miss out anything that this man of God has actually accomplished. So a lot of you from the Philippines, I don't know if you know this man of God yet, but I want to read it through, okay? Because I don't want to miss anything out. You guys have to go and see what credibility and how God has marked this man of God for us to go and have today. What an honor. So Pedro is an 8-figure entrepreneur, a 7-time ClickFunnels 2 Club winner, ClickFunnels X Club recipient, best-selling author, founder of 100X Academy and Fortress Financial Group. Okay, I am so proud to be one of the people that works for him as well, and creator of Crush It With Challenges. And then since 2018, he has successfully run 48 profitable, okay, I want to make that clear, profitable challenges. His model alone has generated 100 million plus in revenue for the last 12 months. Pedro has impacted tens of thousands of entrepreneurs, me included, delivering his knowledge live and virtually to over 98 countries. He's a leading movement, guys, and I am so honored to have this powerful, beautiful, powerful man of God, none other than Mr. Pedro Adao. Yay! I don't have that drums, but
no, it's good. Hey, thanks. That was a great intro. I'm like, wow. No wonder I'm tired. No wonder I'm tired. I've been busy. No, now it all makes sense. I'm like, Lord, why am I so tired? Now it makes sense. See?
We kind of suck all your energy. That's why your energy, your brain, everything else. But you're so fun. You're so smart. You're so favored, and you don't mind sharing it. That's one thing. That's it. That's it. So Pedro, I know that, I'm just believing God is going to stretch your time, but I know I have these 15 questions that I want you to go and answer because people are looking up to you. Okay. And you know what? I'm just going to start with it now. So I'm not going to take too much of your time. How's that?
Ready? Let's do it. Yes. Let's dive in.
Let's go.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. This is Hope Summit, right?
Okay.
God told me about hope deferred. God rebuked me with hope deferred. God forgave me. God released me. God gave me a new beginning. But for you, what does hope deferred mean? That's
yeah. So obviously it all begins with hope, right? Because faith is the substance of things hoped for. So hope is important because we can't even really talk about faith without really having hope. And of all and what we have to make sure, and sometimes life gets difficult. I've had some tough seasons. You have to make sure that you just can't be hopeless. Like that's something you gotta just stay. We have to make sure that you manage your life, manage your heart, manage your emotions, and that we want to stay out of hopelessness, because hopelessness is very, like, that's a dangerous place, because it's like, man, like there's just, again, you can't even really release faith when you're just hopelessness. So like staying out of that place is super important. And obviously leveraging family, friendships, community, being honest. And so obviously hope is a big deal. Hope is a big deal in the kingdom. But hope, and then again, like hope deferred it can happen when you have a prayer request, you have a trial. Like I went through a long extended trial, paying by 3 years. So oftentimes I kind of find like the hope deferred thing kind of happens when people have just been, they're just getting worn out. They're getting tired of waiting. They're just getting like, Lord, like, come on already. And what I can tell you from my experience is, yeah, I mean, God's timing, sometimes it is God's timing, right? Like sometimes it's God's timing. But what if we could influence God's timing? Like, what if we could actually influence God's timing? Because what I have found is usually, if we're in a season, whether it's a difficult season or even a season of a great season, God's always testing us. He's always testing us, not to punish us. He's a good dad who's testing us to see if we're ready for the next level of promotion and favor. And so what if this season that may feel like hope is deferred because it's taken a long time, what if we cause these seasons to be longer than they have to be, simply because we are not passing the test? We're not learning the lessons. We are not becoming what God is looking for us to become to take us into this next season. It's like failing. It's like you can do first grade 10 years in a row. Yeah. That's not 10 years of experience. That's 1 year of experience 10 times. Right. And I just think a lot of us, just being frank, like a lot of believers just, I think, sometimes lack wisdom, blame everything on the enemy, over spiritualize everything. And the fact is, they're just maybe not partnering with the Lord about what is the Lord trying to teach me or show me in this season. And yes, I do believe in warfare. Yes, I do believe in attacks on the enemy. Yes, I do believe in all that stuff. And that's why I need to pray and intercede and do all that stuff. I've got intercessors. I have all that stuff. But I'm also looking at what can I be doing to partner with God? And this is not, God is not wanting to keep me stuck. God is not the author of my depression or my anxiety. So how can I partner with the Lord? And I was, Lord, like, hey, I'm tired of this season. Like, what can I do? How can I partner with you? Like, what's the next step? Like, you know? Yeah. And so anyhow, I just, because I feel like, I just feel like I spent 3 years broken, busted, battling the enemy. And I'm like, looking back now, I'm like, why did I spend 3 years in that place? Like, I just, I just don't think I had to be 3 years. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Even though God used it. And just because God can use these seasons, it doesn't mean we should turn a season of lack or a season of trial and make it a lifestyle, right? So anyhow, those are my just some thoughts about hope deferred, and it can happen from time to time. But as believers, as believers who are in right relationship to our Father, who have access to Holy Spirit, who are doing life with people, we should not be finding ourselves constantly in this hope deferred kind of season. That means we're doing something wrong. Right. No blame, no shame, not trying to make you feel bad, but it just means something like that's not life in the kingdom. Right. Life in the kingdom is not supposed to be a lifestyle of just constantly having hope deferred. Yeah. So you're saying that, being passive is basically not good. God has given you such amazing power and responsibility that you have to partner with God to advance yourself also to be out of that desperation, out of that deferred hope, right? So what would you say that you now know the dangers of hope deferred? Would you, are there, has there been any lately that you felt like, oh my gosh, God answered this thing now, finally, has been so long that I've been asking the Lord for. I didn't even see that was actually going to be answered by the Lord, that you just go and completely
forgotten about that. And isn't that the danger of having a hope deferred? You just forget about whatever it is that you've been dreaming about for a while.
Yeah, I would say, like, I mean, hope deferred is not really a concept that I think about a lot in this season or in the last, I mean, since we came, that was like, we went through a hard season about 8 years ago.
Right.
And then I would say over the last like 7 years, God's really brought us out of it. And then since we launched 100X about 4 years ago, and even before that, I just been trying to keep up with the Lord. Like it's just been so fast. There's just so much that he has us doing, serving his people. So hope deferred is not even really, it's not really a thing in my walk right now. I still have dreams. I still have dreams and ideas about things in the future that would be fun. But there's nothing I'm like, oh my gosh, Lord, like, when will this come to pass? Like, I'm just trying to keep up with God, and he just keeps opening up more and more and more favor, more and more and more doors. I'm in a season where he just blows my mind with like, there's just so much ridiculous favor. I'm just like, Lord, like, are you serious right now? So I would say it's been a long time since I've been in a season where hope deferred was even a conversation or a concept.
Wow. But in that season, because I'm sure a lot of people are watching right now and they're probably going through the same season. It's been 8 years already. It's been 15 years already. How did you recognize in your own life that was actually a hope deferred already? And what are the signs that you saw that, like, I'm really getting discouraged now? I mean, this is really like frustrating me now.
Yeah. I mean, just signs? Yeah, discouragement. If you're discouraged, if you're negative, if you're getting cynical,
yeah.
You're like, if you're seeing you have a hard time even like releasing your faith. Again, you cannot have faith without hope, because like the Bible says that faith is the substance of things hoped for. So if you're just having a hard time even releasing your faith, or even getting your hopes up, but what I found is, yes, you can get some people, some friends, and intercessors to pray for you, but the best advice I have, and this is not very spiritual, go to the gym.
I love it.
Go to the gym, like, go for a walk, work out, like, go help your neighbor, do something. Like, just stop thinking about yourself. Go do something. Just take some action. I'm telling you right now, like, literally, most people can break out of a funk just going to the gym.
Yeah.
Most just going to the gym, moving your body, sweating, like organizing your closet. You're like, oh my God, I feel so much better now. Just doing things to put yourself in motion. Stop thinking about yourself so much. Most of the time when we're depressed, or we're going through a hard time, is because we're thinking about ourselves, our problems over and over. Stop it already. Just go serve, go help somebody. Just go serve somebody else. Go help somebody else. Stop thinking about yourself all the darn time. Like, of course you're miserable because you're just thinking about yourself all day. Like, we're not wired to do that. We're wired to be serving and helping each other and everybody else. So it's like, just go serve other people. Heck, you want to feel better about yourself? Go serve someone who's worse off than you. Go serve the homeless. Go serve people who are worse. Then you're like, oh, then you get some gratitude going in your life. And I'm not saying there's not real problems. Like, I had real problems, man. We had just a mess. Our business failed. We had a bunch of people that were upset with us. I mean, it was a nightmare. First time I ever failed. I had this identity about myself that was all based in success and money and being on people's pedestals. And so, man, that all just came crashing down. It was horrible. But again, it's like that whole time I spent just battling the enemy been more proactive. I could have been doing stuff. I could have been serving people. I could have been doing things. Right. Instead of just sitting there like,
self-absorbed,
and talk to some people, get inner healing, get around some people who you can be honest with about your failures, and find people who have failed bigger than you. Right. That's why I tell people, I mean, all the time, I'm like, people come to our events or our challenges and they're like, oh, Pedro, I'd love to do your programs. I'd love to work with you. I'm so discouraged. I got all this debt in my life. I'm like, well, how much debt do you have? Like, oh, I've got $30,000 of debt. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I was $3 million in the hole, and God took care of all that. So like 30,000, like, let's go. Like, and then people are like, what? So some people, this $30,000 of debt feels like $30 million of debt.
Yeah.
Because all they can see is the debt. It's like, all they can see. So get around some people who have, I mean, it's pretty simple. You're facing a giant. You're scared of the giant. You're like, oh my God, this giant. Get around some people who have killed bigger giants.
Yeah.
How hard is that? And then you tell them about, and they're like, oh, 30,000. Come on, really? $30,000 of debt has you spun out. You're considering like jumping off a cliff over $30,000 of debt. I mean, you know how easy it is for God to take care of $30,000 of debt. So I would just say, get around some people who have conquered bigger giants, similar giants. Let them encourage you. Let them share their wisdom. Let them encourage you. Let them pray for you. Let them lay hands on you. Let them give you wisdom and strategies, how they did it. And I didn't do that. I just thought, I didn't know anybody that had messed up as big as I messed up. So I kind of just went through it alone. That's why it took so much. That's why it took so long.
Wow. So was there a time in your life when you doubted that, what you started, you actually all of a sudden doubted, oh, maybe this is actually not what I'm supposed to do? Or did you keep hoping that, oh, okay, this is going to work. But then at the end, you're in the middle of what you're doing. And then all of a sudden you have this doubt, is this going to work? Am I still going to go, do this? Or is there for you a time limit as well, wherein, okay, this is not going to work, this is it? What did that look like for you? Like, when do you stop?
You mean like now, or like in that hard season?
In that hard season.
Well, I mean, it was, a couple things. First of all, what I was doing, I had to change. Like, what I was doing, that business failed. Like, it just failed. And so it's like this. It's like, if you're in a hole, stop digging. Like, just stop digging. Like, no matter how hard I tried to fix things and make things better, the more I did, the worse it got. Like, literally, like, I was trying so hard to make this situation better. And the more things I did, the worse it got. To the point I'm like, then I put myself on timeout. I was like, I need to stop. Like, I need to put, like, I must be so jacked up in my own mind right now that I have become my own worst enemy. So when you become your own worst enemy, whether it's through hurt, pain, deception, whatever, stop. Just put yourself in timeout, because every day that you just keep going, you're only making things worse for you and for others. So one, I had to stop what I was doing, and I had to be okay saying, this failed. Not every project you're going to do is going to be a success. So you're like, no, this failed. It's over. Like, shut it down, shut the company, divvy up the assets. This is a wrap. This is over. This is done. We did that. And it was the best thing we could have done. Right? Now it's painful and it was a lot of work to dissolve things and kind of figure all that stuff out. But that was the beginning of God opening up a new season. How can we're asking God to open up a new season, but we're not willing to end things that are from the old season. We're not willing to end entanglements. We're not willing to stop doing things that cannot come in the new season.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So yes, and yeah, it was brutal. Like I didn't have hope for the future. I was deeply depressed. I didn't want to live. I was earnestly praying for God not to wake me up because I was thinking very short term. Almost all of your anxiety, almost all of your cares, almost all of your depression and worries is because you don't have a long enough time horizon. You're thinking too short term.
Right.
And as kingdom people, as believers, we should have an eternal time perspective. We should be thinking about eternity. And then, guys, like most of us are going to live a long time. So I went broke. I went worse than broke in my late 30s. So like in my late 30s, now I'm 47. But for some reason, I did not have the perspective to realize, well, you're in your late 30s. Like Colonel Sanders didn't start Kentucky Fried Chicken until he was like 60.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ray Kroc started McDonald's when he was 40. So I didn't have the perspective to realize, hey, I'm still relatively young. This is a painful lesson, but I'm going to live to fight another day.
Right.
Like, so as bad as this is, as hard as it is, just survive, get through it, and know you'll have another shot, many more shots. I did not have that perspective. I just felt like my world was ending, the world was over. Because this failed, that means I'm a failure and it's a wrap. And that's not true. That's not true. I mean, and so the coolest thing about what I do today is that the thing my biggest failure was I did not know how to be a kingdom entrepreneur. I didn't know because I had so much of the world's teachings. I had so much of the secular worldly teachings. Then I'm reading the Bible, learning about the kingdom, and I had no mentors. I didn't know how to do that. So I was trying to pull things from the world and things from the Bible and trying to mix things and make my own kind of methodology. It was a disaster. Well, the thing that I failed at the most is now the thing that I'm one of the most famous for. And God has me teaching hundreds of thousands of people kingdom entrepreneurship. So I'm telling people, like, sometimes your biggest failure is actually what you're called to do.
Right.
Sometimes your biggest failure is maybe why the enemy attacked it so hard was because that might be your calling. That might be a major assignment. And so maybe your failure is really just kind of shining a light on maybe what God's called you to. Mm-hmm. So I never considered that. I didn't know that. But anyhow, these are kind of some thoughts on my journey.
Yeah, we just need to face the failure, not be afraid of it. And then there's always better. There's always best than the better that you have. So not be afraid. And you're right. You get self-absorbed. You strive so hard, then you get so tired, and that's it. But have you ever blamed God for that when you were going through it? Did you ever have any grudge towards God? Were you a sulky Pedro? Or you've always had like such an amazing relationship that?
No, I mean, anytime you have a pity party, mm-hmm. Anytime you want to play the victim role, mm-hmm. These people, they were unfair and they this and they lie. And I was lied on, cheated on.
Right.
Like a lot of things that happened in that season to
Mhm.
contribute to my struggle wasn't fair. People straight stole from me. People, Christian business people
Yeah.
stole from me, lied to me, cheated me.
Right.
I had people that were friends of mine then start lying about and so like there's times I had a big pity party. Oh Lord, it's not fair, it's not right, da da da. And I never blamed God. I never blamed God for it. I didn't have that problem. Um, I was upset with people. I was upset with people. Um, there was times where I would want to stay a victim and blame people. But you can't God cannot partner with you as a victim. God cannot partner you. If you're playing the victim role, you are shutting God out because God's like, you're not a victim. Like, I don't make victims. My people are more than conquerors.
Right.
So if you want to play the victim, I can't help you. I can't partner with this. I'm not here to enable you in being a better victim. I'm here to partner with you to help you step forward into who you are, which is a conqueror. But if you're, but I never blame God. Some people blame God, and it's like, I just think it's so dumb. Like, they're not even thinking straight. Like, if you want to blame God, where do you
go?
Where do you go from there? I mean, it's like, so you don't trust God. You're going to blame God. You're going to trust man? Like, so to me, it's like, that's just dumb. Like, I don't even know what their plan is. Like, okay, well, you're going to be mad at God. You're going to blame God. All right, well, good luck. To me, that makes no sense.
There's
And,
no way out. Mhm.
and it also proves they have no idea who God is, right? Like, God did not give God is not the author of cancer, disease, death, destruction. The enemy comes to steal, kill, destroy. A lot of Christians get this so mixed up because God's so good at being a redeemer. God's so good at Romans 8:28. God's so good at using what the enemy meant for evil for good. Most Christians now think that God sends the bad stuff.
Right.
That is false. God is not the author of the bad stuff. That is from the devil. God just is incredibly great at using what the enemy meant for harm to advance his people.
Mm-hmm. So when you in your journey, when you saw that God wasn't really answering the way you thought he would answer, did you ever try to answer them yourself or do things on your own?
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. That's how I realized I was had to become my own worst enemy. I would pray to God to close doors. I would say, I'd pray those real Christian prayers like, Lord, open doors that no man can shut and shut the doors that no man can open. Which these prayers are not, that sounds spiritual, but it's not. I don't think it's true, because God would then start to answer my prayers. He would start closing doors. And then you know what I would do? I would rebuke the devil. I'd be like, I rebuke you, Satan. You're not going to steal my blessing. Mm-hmm. And I would kick back open doors that the Lord was closing, because I was not moving in faith, because I was moving in presumption.
Right.
See, most of us, many immature believers, mm-hmm. actually don't know what true faith is. They actually move in presumption. Mm-hmm. Presumption is they actually think they know what's best for them. They think they know what's best for them. They think that what they want is what God wants. Mm-hmm. And so they ask God to co-sign and bless their own plan. Like I was convinced I knew how God wanted to promote me and bless me. It was this way. So when God was shutting those doors down, it couldn't be God. Why would God be confused? So I'm rebuking the devil but it's not the devil. It was the Lord who to the point one day he said to me, he's like, could you please stop calling me Satan? Dummy, it's me closing those doors. I mean, it's getting a little annoying, you calling me Satan. Then I was like, that's not new. I said, okay, I need to go on timeout. Like clearly, I don't know what way is up, what way is down, which way, like, I can't even recognize God from Satan right now. It's time to stop. It's time to put myself on the sideline. I'm like, I don't like, take a break. I'm clearly something's wrong. I don't even know what team I'm on, whose team is what. Like, I shouldn't be playing right now. I got to be off the field.
So what you did was you sought the Lord, and you really like wanted to go and just have.
I was always seeking the Lord. I was praying the whole time. It's just, you can seeking the Lord is not enough when you have made up your mind.
Wow, there you go. Yeah.
You can seek the Lord. You can seek the Lord all you want. You are not seeking the Lord. You are seeking validation, affirmation, confirmation of your own self.
Right.
That is not seeking the Lord.
No.
Purely.
Yeah.
But I was in my Bible the whole time, reading my Bible, praying, going to church, all that stuff.
Yeah.
None of that stuff can keep you out of falling into deception.
So your basic response was to have, so after that, you realize your basic response is something like this. When you start striving and you don't see God answering the way you want it answered, your basic response was to have a timeout and just, recalibrate. Is that what you're saying? What would be the best response? What would be a good suggestion to go and have as a best response when you don't see God answering your desire?
Well, then it's because you got to look and say, like, you should just honestly take an assessment. Why am I doing this? Am I supposed to even be doing this? How did I end up doing this? For me, I can tell you what happened. I was doing just great. And then this new guy came into my life, a new person who I allowed to become my friend.
Right.
I let him too close into my life. He got into my inner circle and he was a complete idiot. I mean, a fool. He literally a fool, like in Proverbs, a fool. And then I began listening to him and I met some more people through him. And so I could trace back almost all of these problems from one person.
Wow.
Okay. So it's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? How did you end up doing that? Doesn't even make sense. How long am I going to hit your head against the brick road? And sometimes, well, Pedro, what about perseverance? Yes, there is a role to play in perseverance when what you're doing makes sense.
Right.
When what you're doing is worthwhile, when what you're doing has wisdom behind it, you're building on the rock, it just takes time, but it's a worthwhile effort. It's a worthwhile goal. You're going about it in wisdom. And oftentimes you're just toiling. You're not in your field of favor. You're doing something stupid. You're with the wrong people. You listen to the wrong people. And now you're just spinning your wheels and it's never going to go anywhere. So what's the only way to stop? Stop. You got to quit. And some things you should quit. Things that bear no fruit, things that make no sense, things that you're like, I have no favor here. Like, this is not working. Like, this is like, and so there's nothing wrong with quitting.
Yeah.
Now, wisdom is knowing what to quit and knowing when to persevere. But I quit. I used to be in network marketing. It wasn't working for me. I quit network marketing. Smartest thing I could have done, because then I got back to my field of favor. I quit that real estate business because it wasn't working. How to quit it? It's the best thing I did. So if you're like, well, I don't want to be a quitter. Well, that's stupid. I quit things all the time. You have my permission to quit things that do not bear fruit. You
Right.
have my permission to quit things that are not taking you anywhere. You have God's permission to quit doing stupid, foolish things that bear no fruit.
Yeah. Waste of time.
Waste of time, waste of energy. Just don't. Don't. Just stop it already. Like, how is your life going to change if you don't change what you're doing or how you're doing it? You got to.
Yeah. Sometimes we get so focused on whatever it is that's the vision. No, this is what it is. But sometimes God brings us there, and there's always like another road. Right at the very end, there's always another road. So was there? How did you get out of those? Weariness, and how did you get out of those? I mean, just a very simple example of, okay, this is it. I took a shower. You said you're going to just go to the gym. I'm just gonna go to the gym. But for somebody right now, right here, right now, or I don't know, wherever it is in this world, somebody's like lying down on the bed saying, I don't know, I don't want anymore. What would you say?
Well,
Get out of the bed.
no, I would tell you, I'm like, I understand. I've been there. Like, so I spent 3 years depressed. I spent 3 years, like, literally, like, fighting with demons who were trying to tell me to kill myself, right? So, like, it's not like I have massive empathy and compassion. I understand. And I'm just telling you that, like, just simple things, like I'm like going to the gym, going for a walk, getting around people who have been through some stuff and have overcome, getting around people who are successful, who are prospering, who are thriving, getting around people who can infuse hope because their life is working, right? So those are great places to start, and I would tell you, like, it's normal. Like, it never feels normal. It feels like you're the only one. I failed. But, like, that's a big lie. I mean, so you're not the only one. You're not the only one who's had a hard time. You're not the only person who's gone through this. The enemy loves to come into shame, right? I mean, man, I felt so much shame in that failure, because of what all I was involved with it. And so just, the enemy's playing the shame game. He's going to try and shame you. And it's like, look, I'm not the only person. And then, of course, I made a lot of poor decisions. I was naive and didn't know better. So then I was like, well, I deserve it. I was stupid. I made bad choices. I deserve all this pain. I deserve all this. Well, there's something healthy about taking responsibility for your choices.
Right.
But yet God's willingness to be merciful and his ability and desire to be redemptive extends far past mine and your stupidity. So God is increasingly, abundantly more merciful than you and I could be dumb.
Right.
Does that make sense? So I don't care what mistakes you made. It's not like God's like, oh, wow, Ruth, I would so want to help you, but you were so dumb. Like, you made mistakes so big. I can't help you now. Now you got to just go through all the consequences. No, like, that's not how it works. So I would say you're not alone. There's so many people who have been used by God, who have made poor choices, that learn from them, responded correctly, and God's used. So
yeah, you gotta help yourself. We gotta help we gotta help ourselves too. We gotta love ourselves, just like what God says. As we partner with God, God gives us the strength to do that anyway at the end of the day. So are there principles you live by in order to stay hopeful when the challenges didn't seem like it's ever going to be better?
well, in that season, it was just Romans 8:28. I had one Romans 8:28, all things work for the good, those who love God are called according. I just had that one verse and I just made that, like, that was my one main verse. And I literally held God hostage to that verse. I was like, you said this, like, I just held them hostage to that promise, and that one verse gave me enough hope and faith to get through just one day after the other. And then I would say now there's times where, like you're just tired or whatever. And, guys, being grateful, just being grateful, like no matter how bad things are, we should always be able to tap into a place of gratitude. It says enter his courts with praise and thanksgiving. So I would say, just really leaning hard into find a place where you can praise him. Find things you can honestly thank him for. Like find a place. And that's a big key. I think a lot of times we can obsess about what we don't have. Well, I don't have this, I don't have that, I'm missing this, I'm in lack. And then of course, what you focus on magnifies. And so when you focus on like gratefulness,
right,
being grateful, and then just again serving, like, man, you can serve your way out of depression.
Yeah.
You can serve your way out of a hard time.
Yeah.
Just serve, add value, serve, and you'll feel better. Your self-esteem will grow. Your self-confidence will grow. Your favor will grow.
Right.
So.
Yeah. He who refreshes other, will they themselves be refreshed, huh?
There you go.
Yeah. And, greatness is actually in serving, isn't it? So Pedro, now that you've gone through all these and now you're in a good place, right? I mean, I know.
I hope so.
I mean, I think so.
I mean,
we'll tell you.
I mean, it was pretty good on this side.
But just after the party, Pedro, I mean, come on, we'll tell you, it's good. It's good. There has just been so much impact in all of the people that were there, and even now, right? Everybody's talking about it. But when you get hurt, Pedro, how do you get yourself closer to God? I want this question because a lot of people will have an excuse to not, I'm just gonna go be there later. But no, how do you get yourself closer to God when you're hurt in a situation? Because that it doesn't matter whether you have a lot of money, whether you're successful, not successful, depressed, or whatever. When you are hurt, I mean, when people are hurt, they just close up sometimes. But how about you? When you get hurt, what do you do? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, so I got hurt a lot in that season, and so I did a lot of inner healing. I'm a big believer in inner healing. Some people may not like it. I don't understand that, but that's fine. I think inner healing was essential for my journey because it was traumatic for me. Like I had never failed in my life at anything. And now at like 38, I had this huge multi-million-dollar failure. And I felt like it was like a death, it was traumatic. Right. So inner healing, if you're hurt and you really just can't get over it, talking to friends, confessing, saying, man, like this really hurts. If those people are your friends or if those people are family, friends, sometimes going and just having a conversation about that, like, hey, you really hurt my feelings when you said this. Now, if they're just toxic people and you share your heart about how you got hurt, and then they're like, well, and they flip it on you and they're just like, that's gotta then be careful about that. But just acknowledge the fact that you got hurt. And then you just give it to the Lord. Like I love inner healing, but now like a lot of times I do like a self deliverance, I just bring him before the Lord. I'm like, oh Lord, like that kind of hurt my heart a little bit. And I'm like, oh man, like, what's that about? And he'll speak to it, or I'll just give it to him, and like, you know,
Yeah.
so I would just say, guys, like, you know, I have a saying that says heart wounds create blind spots.
Right.
So you just got to get over your stuff. So whatever you got to do, whether it's talk prayer, whether inner healing, confess it to a friend,
Blind spots. Yeah.
but you can't, like, you're not going to walk in fullness. God cannot trust you. God cannot trust you with more of his people. God cannot really trust you and with any real level of impact and influence if you are broken and hurting.
Right.
Like, if you are still, like, there's a saying even in the world, it says hurt people hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you guys, like, is that situation that happened more important than your calling?
Right. Right.
And the answer should be no. So it's, no matter how painful it is or was, like, Lord, I need your help. Take this from me. Like, I can't, like, I want to live my calling. I want to live my purpose. I want to be all that I want to be. I want all of what's possible in you. And I know that all these pains, all the hurts, all the betrayal, all that was dealt with at Calvary.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to know how to really appropriate that and do whatever it takes. If it's inner healing, if it's counseling, if it's whatever, if it's, you know, a spa day, whatever, do it. Just get over it so you can move forward.
You see, everybody, I mean, you have to understand, I mean, Pedro's company, he hires people just to go and do inner healing. And I'm one of the ministers there. And I have never seen a company that does that ever.
We have a huge team. I think I don't want to get the numbers wrong. I think the last number I saw, I think we've done, I'm not 100% sure. I think the last number I saw is we've done over 3,000 inner healing sessions as part of 100X, a for-profit business. We are a for-profit kingdom training company. We're the number one training company and community for passionate, ambitious, kingdom-minded entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've done over 3,000 inner healings. I think there's probably very few ministries that have done more inner healings than us, and we're not even a ministry. We're a for-profit enterprise. Yeah, but that's how much I believe in it. And some of the most greatest testimonies and breakthroughs of our members in business, in finances, come after they've dealt with some of their heart wounds, and they get healed up.
Yeah, because it's hard. It's actually hard to have a clarity in your mind if your heart is wounded.
No, you won't.
Your eyes and your thinking is actually like going through those lenses of pain and not in the freedom that the Lord wants for us. So Pedro, I promised you 4:45, and it's of course 4:48. Just one last one. I would like you to please encourage. I know that you've been encouraging everybody already, but especially the younger generation now, Pedro. A lot of people already call you Papa anyway. Might as well. In the younger generation, there's just so much discouragement, death, bankruptcy, and even especially now the millennials are like more on IT and all on the computer. The relationship are almost going around. Yeah, almost depleted. But how would you encourage all of us? Well, including, I feel like a millennial right now, but what the heck, all the younger generations, just how are you going to tell Pedro when he was 25 years old? What would be your best advice that you can go give them right now?
Well, I mean, when I was 25, the world looked different, it was just a very different place.
Right.
What I would say to anyone who's kind of going through a tough time,
right,
whether you're a millennial or whether you're a baby boomer or a Gen X, whatever, it's like this too shall pass. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a cliche, but if you're going through a tough time, you really, I want you to believe me, this too shall pass. I know it doesn't feel like it. When I was going through my hard time, it felt like it would never, I thought that was my life. I just thought for the next 30 years, I'm going to be in pain and agony. And I had no idea that God would, in just a matter of a couple of years, would flip everything around.
Right.
Like in a couple of years, like within 3 years of being depressed and suicidal, I had my first $1 million a year, like had my first year making $1 million a year in income. Within a couple of years of being at my lowest low, from my lowest low to my highest high, to a couple of years. And then now what God's done is insane. So I would just be like, this too shall pass. You know, like understand that how you're feeling, the pain you're in is temporary. This is temporary. I would have you lean in to your time with the Lord and be like, Lord, like, who do you want to be for me in this season? And what am I supposed to be learning in this season? Right? Who do you want to be for me? What am I supposed to be learning? And how can I partner with you to get all that you have for me here so we can move on to the next thing?
Right.
That's how I would encourage it. So I would just be kind of proactive versus just kind of like, instead of like being like, oh my God, this is happening to me. I'm a victim. I'm suffering. This is happening to me. Just flip it around and be like, okay, Lord, the enemy have meant this for my bad, evil. You are going to use this for good. I can't wait to see how you're going to Romans 8:28 this for me. And then just start leaning in on that. Like start releasing your faith and hope for the good that can come if you respond correctly. And the faster, like I could have partnered with that so much sooner.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent 3 years just kind of like letting life happen to me and like letting the enemy just beat me up with the crowbar, just beating me up day in, day out. Like I was like the Walking Dead, you know, like lifeless. And like why? Like why did I let him do that? It was just, you know, I just didn't know any better. I had friends that were kind of encouraging me just to not give up on life, but none of them really had a tool or a key to get me out, you know. They just kind of helped me sustain myself.
Right.
And I'm like, man, like, so I want to give people like some keys, some off ramps. Like here's some off ramps. You don't need to stay there. And I think those are some ways they can kind of partner with the Lord to kind of not stay someplace longer than they have to be, you know?
Yeah. Wow. Guys, if you're confused of what to do next in your business, even in your ministry, find 100x. Find 100x. Even the churches, I think, needs it, you know. It's such a kingdom, it's such a kingdom era right in that movement. It's just so powerful, and I am just so thankful that I'm a part of it. Thank you, Pedro. I thank Cindy for being my friend, because Cindy's the one that introduced me. And guys, you have no idea how busy this man is, and how popular he is, and being here with us, that's just such humility. He's been so called great by the Lord because of his heart to serve and his heart to really help you guys. So I would encourage you to go and find him, Mr. Pedro Adao, 100x his kingdom all over him. And as he speaks like this, he's so cool. He's just chill. Okay, and his wife is chill too, and we're all chill in the kingdom. So Pedro, again, thank you so very much for your
You're so
time.
welcome.
I really, really appreciate it. And guys, I will see you again tomorrow. Thank you so much for being with us. Guys, my prayer is that the eyes of your heart may be really, truly enlightened, in order that you may know the hope to which he has called you, the riches of his glory inheritance in his holy people. And that's who you are. So I bless you guys and see you guys tomorrow. It's going to be a surprise. Pedro, thank you. Everybody loves Pedro. Okay, guys. And also, I need to go and tell you something. Tomorrow is going to be a surprise. No, it's not a surprise. I'm not going to tell you it's a surprise. I'm just going to tell you the truth, okay? The truth is, Nancy Economo is supposed to be tomorrow. Am I still live, my dear brother Kareem? Yeah. Okay. Nancy, my beautiful, powerful woman, Nancy friend, Nancy Economo of Watts of Love, is right now, she is, as of the moment, probably in the airplane that flying towards South Africa. And what happened was their flights were delayed. And so she's supposed to be in Africa as I'm interviewing her tomorrow. But the time that I told you guys about, I believe they're going to come and arrive midnight in South Africa. That means I cannot have her over. She wouldn't know where to go, maybe in the bathroom for a Wi-Fi. So what's going to happen is we needed to have a plan B. So I graciously told my dear sister that it is okay for us to not have her for now, but I have a very powerful surprise for you. I don't know, have you ever heard of the music, "In my life, Lord, be glorified"? That song, "Be glorified in my life, Lord, be glorified today." The guy that sang that, and that's a classic. Until now, that wrecks me, that song. He is going to be with us tomorrow. His name is Bob Kilpatrick, and you ought to hear this man of God as well. So tomorrow I shall see you guys at 3:30, the same BPW Hope Summit 2022 with Bob Kilpatrick. And didn't we have such a treat with Pedro Adao? Wow, that was cool. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. I would encourage you to please, write your comments, come and be live in our Facebook group, share this to everybody. We will have this all over. We're gonna have it available for you guys. But at the same time, if you feel like there are people in your lives that are actually lacking hope, please send this. There's 27 more people coming in for this Hope Summit that we have. And so I shall see you tomorrow. Guys, I just want to also honor every single person that has helped me with Hope Summit. I have Christine from Qatar. I have Noel Paula from the Philippines. I have Janice from the Philippines. I have Diane. I have Sumi. I have Kareem. I have Toshiko. So these people are from all over the world. We have a virtual office. Isn't that funny? But God wanted this done. And so guys, these are all for you. Now, I would like you to pass it on. I bless you. This is Ruth Keijdener from Beautiful, Powerful Women. Yay! See you guys tomorrow. Mwah, 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 mwah. Bye. Oh my gosh, Kareem, we're still recording. Yes, we are. So